Hey everybody, welcome back to the new episode of Tie Guy, the Sports Guy. Today we're going to talk a little bit of NFL and a lot of Major League Baseball. So now we're wrapping up the first month of April. A lot of guys who are breaking out, a lot of guys who are slumping. So we're going to get right into that. We're going to figure out the guys who had the best month of April and also the guys who had the worst month of April. And we're going to talk about it and see what we can expect from here on out. So first things first, let's talk about the good. Let's talk about the guys who broke out in the month of April. The first most notable guy is Corbin Burns. If you don't know who he is an incredible pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's had a month to remember, to say the least. So he is having a great month. In breakout circles, he is the breakout star of Major League Baseball. He is also the breakout star of fantasy baseball. If you got him in any of your fantasy baseball teams, you're very happy right now. So he's killing it for you. He's crushing it for you. You got him probably in like the 6th or 7th round. So he's absolutely crushing his draft status. So you got Corbin Burns. Great job. Another guy who broke out this year who finally got the chance to play was Nick Solak, second baseman for the Rangers. Also plays a little center fielder. Dude is a utility player. He is a great stick. He does everything for fantasy purposes too as well. He's a breakout star for the Rangers. So they're having a really nice couple of guys who've broken out for the Rangers with him and Garcia. It's been some nice surprises. They also got Gallo, obviously the Rangers, who I'm wearing today, representing. They are not what you call a very top-tier team. They have absolutely no pitching, which is going to kill them. But for fantasy purposes, they got a couple guys who will definitely help you with Joey Gallo, too, as well with his power surge. The next guy we're going to talk about, this was a guy who was on the breakout candidate for a couple of years, Carson Kelly. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, has finally broken out this year. He had a great month of April. If you picked him up off the waiver wire this year for fantasy purposes, that's probably the best pickup so far. He wasn't drafted or rostered into many teams, but if you did get him, he's been on fire lately, so good job. So if you got Carson Kelly, look for him to have a really great 2021 season. The next guy we're going to talk about is Ryan McMahon. He was my prediction of the breakout star for 2021. Everything was there for him to break out. They traded their top dog, Nolan Arenado, to the St. Louis Cardinals. So they had a permanent position for him, permanent playing time, and he has rewarded the club big time. He's had a great April. He's had 6 home runs, I believe maybe 7 after last night. He's absolutely crushing the ball. He had a 3 home run game earlier this month. So if you had Ryan McMahon, good job. He looks like he's going to sustain all this. He's not going to hit probably 7 home runs every month, but he will definitely sustain the power. He'll definitely sustain all that stuff in Colorado, especially with that being such a hitter's paradise up in there. The next guy we're going to talk about is Mercedes for the Chicago White Sox. Again, I talked about him in my previous video. He's absolutely just crushing the ball. Right now, he's hitting 5th in the White Sox lineup. He was there last night, right in front of Grandal. He is a guy who's going to be right behind Abreu every single game. He's going to protect Abreu. Abreu is going to get lots of good pitches to see now too as well. They have lots of protection. Like I was saying earlier, 1 through 9, the White Sox have a really nice lineup. They're going to be crushing the ball all year long. They got a couple guys on the bench where they can bring them in and have them start here, start there too, and not lose any momentum, not lose anything whatsoever. So that guy's probably going to crush it the rest of the year. He's a guy who is somebody you're going to want to keep on your roster. You're not going to want to trade him whatsoever. Now for the another fantasy breakout star, Mr. Rogers. So starting pitcher from the Florida Marlins. If you're not familiar with this guy, he is a stud. His K per 9 innings are phenomenal. He throws the ball really well, throws at 93, 95. He's got lots of great stuff, keeping teams off balance. He didn't really come out of nowhere. He was the #1 overall pick, but this year he's put it all together, and he's looking great for the Miami Marlins team. Right now, the Miami Marlins are waiting for Sixto Sanchez to come back. He had a little shoulder discomfort. Thankfully for that franchise, it was just an aggravation. They are taking it very slow with him. They are babying the crap out of him on his way back. But again, you can't blame him. He's only 22 years old. Dude throws 101 miles an hour. You're gonna baby that guy. You're gonna make sure that his arm's 100% healthy before he comes back. Next guy we're gonna talk about is Xavier, starting pitcher for the Houston Astros. He's had a great month of April. Can he keep it up? I don't know. I don't know if he's that good of a pitcher. I don't know if he's just the April stats have been really good for him. One thing I will say is Houston can erase some mistakes. So if he does have a bad outing here or there, that offense can pick it up and they can save him a couple wins. So he might get 2 or 3 extra wins this year just because the team that he plays for and that offense who can absolutely crush. Will he keep it up? In my mind, I don't think so. Could I be wrong? Absolutely, but I don't think I'm wrong on this guy. He would be, for me, a very high trade candidate. He's somebody I would trade right now for maybe a more of established starter or somebody maybe who's a little bit lower in the rankings because they got off to a bad start, and maybe try to get him, maybe trade him for maybe a Luis Castillo type of guy, and maybe you can get a couple draft picks back just because the fact that it's so tilted right now with the draft rankings with him or with the rankings with him right now. So just some food for thought. Another guy who's absolutely crushing this April is Michael Kopeck, the flamethrower for the Chicago White Sox. He's been a top prospect forever. He's coming back from Tommy John surgery. They chose to put him in the bullpen. He's basically like a long reliever. He's going to give you 3 innings here, 3 innings there, 2 innings here, 2 innings there. He got a spot start the other night, struck out 10 guys in a spot start against the Texas Rangers. He had a great start through 5 innings. He's a legit #1 ace. Next year, he'll be right on top of that rotation with Lucas Giolito, and the White Sox have something very special cooking and brewing with that rotation. He'll probably take the place of Dallas Keuchel next year. They'll probably let him go in free agency, and they'll have a spot just ready for him to rock and roll, and he'll be a top guy next year. He'll probably be a top 25 fantasy baseball player in year 2022. And this year he'll probably be about 125 and 100, somewhere like right around there, just because his ceiling is a little limited with everything that's going on with the innings and all that stuff. But Michael Kopeck's going to be a very nice guy. You're going to keep him for a long, long, long time if you're in a fantasy league where you have keepers. Next guy we're going to talk about, this guy he's breaking out. Not much of a surprise to me, Nate Lowe. I've talked about him before. He is an absolute stud. He's a left-handed stick for the Texas Rangers first baseman. They stole him from Tampa this offseason. He's not going to hit for high average, but he's going to hit for a lot of power. And again, going back to the Rangers with him, Solak, Garcia, Joey Gallo, they have a nice lineup here going. They definitely got some hitters. Now they just need to get some pitchers, and they'll be good. Brand new ballpark. They'll get it together. It's just going to take some time, but they have a nice little core foundation, especially with Nate Lowe. He's going to absolutely keep crushing the ball. So they got a nice little combination going there. Another guy who finally broke out at age, I believe, 32 or 33 is Danny Duffy, pitcher from the Kansas City Royals. He's figured out a couple things this year that he hasn't in the previous years. It's also probably a combination of that and health. He's finally healthy. The dude is always missing starts because of, for whatever reason. He's finally healthy, finally feels good. The Royals have a pretty decent offense, so he's going to get some wins. If he keeps the ball in the ballpark, he'll definitely help your fantasy baseball team out. So you're going to keep this up all year long? Absolutely not. Will he get injured throughout the year? Absolutely. He's not going to make his 33, 34, 35 starts. It's just not going to happen. He'll probably make about 25, 26. He's a good guy to trade right now to get somebody maybe a little bit more established, maybe somebody who's a little bit more reliable. But at the same time, if you want to keep him and just kind of ride the Danny Duffy beer train, you're more than welcome to. It's up to you. So just my personal opinion, I would trade this dude for somebody else, maybe get another good starter back, maybe get a closer or something like that, whatever your fantasy baseball team needs. Maybe if you're a little lacking in one of the departments, first base through the outfield or somewhere in between, maybe just try to make a trade to upgrade one of your positions. So couldn't hurt right now with this guy having such a hot start. Next guy we're going to talk about, this guy took over the Cleveland Indians closer spot. Mr. Class, Mr. Santa Claus. He's been crushing as a closer. You know, a lot of guys thought that James was going to be their closer this year. The Indians didn't want to do that. They wanted to put James in a high leverage situation. They want to put him with guys where they needed to get straight outs at because he is their best reliever. But Class came in, got the closer position, slams the door, and he's crushing. He's killing it right now. So good guy to hold on to. The Indians will probably be in the middle. They might be contending probably to the middle of the season. They will take a nosedive. They just don't have any sticks whatsoever to keep up with those guys, to keep up with the rest of the NL Central. The Indians won't make the playoffs this year. They'll probably be a team that's going to be under 500. But closer-wise, saves-wise, he's a good guy to have because he will be their closer for the whole year. I don't think they're going to trade him because they're going to need all the pitching they can get this year to stay in the race. Next guy has been a great surprise. Not really much of a surprise if you follow baseball, Ty France. We talked about him earlier. Second baseman, third baseman, DH eligibility for fantasy baseball. He plays for the Seattle Mariners. He's going to be their number 2 hitter all year long. He's going to score a ton of runs. He's going to get a ton of base hits. The dude's going to hit over 300. He's got a little bit more pop this year. It's probably because he's starting. He knows he's got an everyday position. He's never been an everyday starter before, so he's going to keep going up and up and up. He's just unbelievable, and he's going to keep helping you with your fantasy baseball team. And I would hold on to him. I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't do anything with him. Just let it ride. So the dude's going to be very consistent all year long just because he puts up such a great batting average. So, okay, and now we're going to talk about the MLB bust of the month of April, and we're going to do one from each position. I got 5 starting pitchers on there and 3 relief pitchers too as well. I'm just going to go down this list really quick. I'm not going to get too much of an explanation. You know why these guys are fantasy bust so far. 1, because they're not hitting. 2, because they're not hitting. 3, because they're not hitting. It's pretty simple. So one of the busts here for the catcher position is Gary Sanchez. I don't know how else to really put it, but Gary Sanchez is the most overhyped catcher of all time. He's not very good defensively. Offensively, he's just a power guy. He's not going to get you any average. You might get lucky to get 220 out of him this year, but Gary Sanchez is some guy who basically his loss is lost. So, but for fantasy wise, he's just not very good. He's an average hitting catcher now, just with a little bit of pop. First base so far has been Paul Goldsmith. All the Cardinals have struggled this year. They didn't score any runs over the weekend, basically. They got shut out Saturday, shut out Sunday. They got 5 runs last night. So we'll see what happens. Paul Goldsmith's been struggling right now, but he'll heat up. He'll get hot. And once he gets hot, all the rest of the dominoes will fall in place for that lineup. Next guy's been really struggling, again, from the Yankees, DJ LeMahieu. He is a guy who's a consistent 300-plus hitter throughout his career. He'll find it. Just a bad month. Don't worry about it. Keep playing him. You know, once he finds it, he'll be a run machine. So especially in that Yankees lineup, they're going to bring him in plenty of times. Next guy we're going to talk about is Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor really has been struggling for the last year and a half. I don't know if it's because of the trade stuff. I don't know if it's because he was trying to get a new contract. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's because he's been switching all over the lineup between 1, 2, and 3 in the order, but he's just been a complete bust in the month of April. He is a superstar. He got a big contract for a reason. He will be fine. Don't worry about him. Don't freak out. Just ride the wave. He might have a bad month of April, and he might be the best player in May. He's just that talented. He's just that good. So Francisco Lindor for April has been a huge disappointment. Next guy, Matt Chapman. There was a lot of MVP hype around Matt Chapman. That was mostly for his defensive play. Offensively, I think he's just a little bit of above average third baseman. Personally, for fantasy purposes, he's okay. He's not somebody who really I would put a whole lot of stock into. That's just me personally. For fantasy purposes, I'd rather have Justin Turner than Matt Chapman personally. That's just me. I think Justin Turner is a more complete fantasy baseball player from the offensive perspective standpoint. Now, if I'm running an MLB baseball team, I want Matt Chapman. I mean, for the obvious reasons, better defensively and younger. So that's just kind of duh. And then a couple of the outfielders who are really struggling this year. Well, the first one we have is Charlie Blackmon. Charlie Blackmon's had a terrible April. He is the face of the Rockies. He's the face of that franchise. He's had just a terrible month, plain and simple. He'll get it. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's Colorado. He'll bounce back. You know, I know he's a little long in the tooth, but dude he's a Major League Baseball player. He's gonna hit. He's gonna hit for average. Just relax and just when he comes around, he comes around. But just don't worry about it too much with him. Another guy who's really shit the bed is Michael Conforto. He's just had a terrible April. Him and Lindor had really bad Aprils for the Mets. I know that's a little shocker. They'll come around. It's just 1 month. You know, it's a long season. You know, there's 162 games overall. We're not even 30 games into the season, so just relax, take a deep breath. If you want to try to get Conforto on the cheaper side, go for it because he is going to bounce back. He is going to crush. He will do his thing. He's been a very consistent player for the last 3 years in the circle of baseball. So if you want to try to get him on the cheap, now would be a great time to get it before he gets hot, and you're going to regret not getting him. Next guy has been struggling. Yaz. So he's had a rough April, to say the least. He's been injured, kind of in and out of the lineup, dealing with a couple of different things. His oblique's not feeling 100%. Last year, 2020, he had a great 2020. He crushed it at age 30. He figured it out. Everything started spinning and working well for him. Once he gets healthy, he'll be the Yaz of last year. He's got a great swing, great stick. Also, on a side note, the Yankees just picked up Mike Tauchman. So if you want to take a risk on an outfielder, if you need somebody to pick up, somebody who has a little bit of power, somebody who got a little speed, Tauchman can definitely fill up some categories for you. And one other outfielder who's having a really tough April, that's because he's had a bad back, is Christian Hillage. Right now, I would personally stay away from Hillage. I wouldn't even make trade offers for him because having a bad back like that, It's been now 3 years for his bad back. Also, you couple that with his broken kneecap he had at the end of 2019, I believe. Yeah, he's somebody you might want to stay away from. I think his best days are behind him. I hate saying that because he's such a talent. In 2019, he was probably, before he broke his kneecap, the #1 player in all fantasy baseball. So, I mean, I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope he gets healthy. I hope his back feels better. I hope he's back to his 2019 self. But right now, it's just tough. It's really, really tough. If you want to try to get him, go for it. But I wouldn't go after Christian Yelich right now. I wouldn't even offer a trade. And if I'm a Christian Yelich owner, I don't accept any trade offers. I just want to wait and see what happens on that. Because if he comes back to 2019 version of Christian Yelich, wow, home run, man. So, but just kind of wait and see what happens. The pitchers who have just been absolutely crap the month of April, Patrick Corbin for the Washington Nationals. Rumor has it that the Nationals are going to look to trade him in the offseason. That's because he's at no value right now. His fastball's down 2 miles an hour. He had an okay start his last start. Before that, he's been absolutely just trash. He's getting crushed all the time. So Patrick Corbin should be on your waiver wire. If somebody's dumb enough to have him rostered, if somebody wants to keep him on their team, let him. I mean, that's basically high ERA, high WHIP, whatever you want, and low K per 9 innings. So if you're playing a team who's got Patrick Corbin on the roster and the guy's dumb enough to start him, man, kudos. You're going to get some higher ERAs and everything else that's going to help your teams. You're going to get the win on that one. This guy's been disappointing for his ranking status. Is Walker Buehler. He's going to be a top 20. He's going to be a top 20 guy once it's all said and done. He's had a rough month of April. Not everything's gone his way, but in his history, he doesn't start out fast. He finishes a lot stronger. That's just how he is. So just hold on to him. Be patient. Don't trade him. Don't even field offers for him. He'll be fine. He'll be his self throughout the rest of the year. You only get stronger as the baseball season gets on. That's just the way he's built. Another guy's had a very disappointing April is Luis Castillo, the ace of the Reds. Again, he was kind of forced into the ace role for the Reds just because of the fact that they didn't have anybody else. Sonny Gray was on the IL. They lost Trevor Bauer to the Dodgers in the offseason. The dude's a masterful pitcher when he's on. He's got the best changeup in the league. Don't freak out. Don't rush. Don't try to trade him. Right now, his trade value is extremely low. So if you do try to get him in a trade, you won't have to give him too much. But if you have him, wait. Don't trade him. Just let him. He'll figure it out. He'll be fine. He's got a good track record. So just hold on to him. Just relax. Next guy we're going to talk about is German Marquise, the starter, the ace for the Colorado Rockies. Usually he's a little better in what he's done. It's hard to pitch in Coors Field no matter who you are, but he's the ace of the staff. They expect more out of him. In fantasy circles, he's been very reliable the last couple of years. So far, he's gotten off to a bad start in April. So be it. Hold on to him if you want to. Trade him if you want him. You can probably get him for a very low trade value right now, depending on who has him in your league and also what their needs are and all that stuff. So right now, he would be a really nice guy to trade for just on the low end because he's only going to get better. The dude is a solid pitcher. Just had a rough month, which happens. It's okay. Last guy who's had the roughest month is Kenta Maeda, Minnesota Twins ace. He's had a terrible, terrible, terrible April. Nobody expected him to be this bad. So for the Twins right now, he would be the guy who I would probably look to try to trade for just because the fact is it's going to cost you nothing to get him, and his upside is still very high. And the Twins still have an offense that's really nice. They're going to get him runs. They're going to be able to score behind him. So once he figures it out, once he puts it together, it'll be fine. So just he's a nice guy to get right now as a high ceiling, low trade value right now. Some closers who have been absolutely atrocious. Amir Garrett, Cincinnati Reds. He was a closer. He started out. Obviously, the role was too big for him. Got in his head. I don't know what happened. Spring training, he was nails. During the season of April, that was probably the worst month any reliever could possibly have. His ERA is 14, and his K for 9 innings is 5.40, which is terrible. He'll figure it out, I feel like, but just for right now, he's out of the Reds closer role. They'll probably go to Doolittle, so just wait and kind of see what happens with him. He shouldn't be rostered in any fantasy baseball leagues right now. Iglesias for the now Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. He's been their closer. I'm not high on him. He lost a closer role last year in Cincinnati. He's had an okay April. He's not the best closer. He's not somebody I'm very high on. So if you can trade him away and get something else that you need, like another stick, I would do it. Just personally me, I think he'll lose the closer role in Anaheim sooner than later. But, you know, who knows how soon or how later that would be. And then the last guy, Alex Comey, he signed with the Minnesota Twins this offseason from the Chicago White Sox. I knew this was a bad signing from the very get-go. He doesn't throw very hard. He's not – I mean, he gets pretty lucky. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys. And as a closer, if you get a couple guys on base here and there, you want some guy who can strike somebody out, who has the potential to strike somebody out. He's just not a guy to me that has that stuff that would strike people out. So I would I said from the very beginning I would stay away from him this year as a closer in Minnesota because I didn't think that was going to last very long. Unfortunately, I was right. But, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll get the closer role back at a later date, later time. But just for right now, he's just somebody I just don't think is going to close for the rest of his career. I think his closing days are done. I think he's going to be a nice 7th inning guy, maybe 8th inning guy from here on out, maybe 6th inning guy. I don't know, but I just don't see him as a closer anymore. So, but anyways, those are some of the stuff. Baseball news and notes for fantasy baseball, real life baseball kind of meshed together for you. But that's all the good stuff there for you. So, you know, in fantasy terms and real life terms, if they're struggling in real life, they're struggling in fantasy. It just goes hand in hand. That's what it is. And then also, too, for the end of this first video, I'm going to do 2 videos today. This is my first one. The next one I'm going to do is an NFL mock draft again because, I mean, it's less than 48 hours away. You got to have fun with it, right? So I got to do a couple more mocks. So I'm going to do one more today, one more tomorrow. We'll just knock that out of the park. So for the NFL on Thursday night, there's 5 teams that have a ton of drama, a ton of intrigue. These teams are definitely going to be the talk of the draft, or unless something crazy happens, like there's some huge trade that goes on, which I know is going to. But number 5, the team with the 5th most intrigue in the NFL draft is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why? Because they got 2 first-round picks. The first, we know who's going. We know Trevor Lawrence is going to him, the best player in college football. So that intrigue is kind of But they also do have the 25th pick overall, which is the pick they got from the LA Rams for the Jalen Ramsey trade. That's going to be interesting because it's going to see if they're going to stick on the offensive side of the ball, if they're going to go the defense side of the ball, see what they're going to do with that. Maybe trade up because they got so much draft capital. Maybe get another player because they have their eye on for the target. And then also, too, you got Urban Meyer, first-year NFL head coach, a longtime college coach, great resume. So we'll see what happens with all that. So it'll be just really interesting. Number 4 is the New York Jets. We know they're going to get Zach Wilson with the 2nd pick overall, or at least that's what all the pundits are predicting. So I just want to use my P words for the day. But yeah, and they got another first-round pick too as well. So it'll be interesting. They got that in the Jamal Adams trade with Seattle. See how they use it, see how they go. See if they go cornerback, see if they go defensive end, see how they use that pick, or if they want to stick on the offensive end and maybe give Zach Wilson more help. So it could go either way. So we'll see what happens on that. Number 3 is Miami. The reason why not Miami is number 3 for me for the most intrigue. Number 1, they went from 3 to 12 to 6. They have 2 first-round picks this year. They got 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. So they got a lot of draft capital. It'll be interesting to see if they move up from 18, maybe a little higher, because they also have an extra first-round pick next year from San Francisco too. So that might be a little something they have in their back pocket to move up to maybe another player they like if somebody falls that they really love. So we'll see. That'll be really interesting to me how they do that. Or they could just stay at 18, or they might even trade back. So maybe, you know, if Green Bay sees a receiver, doubtful, that they like, though, maybe trade up with Miami. Maybe the Dolphins can trade back to Green Bay and get some more picks, more draft capital. So we'll see what happens. So, but just saying, that's a very interesting dynamic to me. Number 2 is San Francisco. For the fact is there's so many rumors flying around who the number 3 quarterback is. I'm gonna break this down really, really, really easy for you. Kyle Shanahan had a quick press conference. Basically, he was saying that Jimmy G is not going to be their quarterback anymore. They're going to basically try to trade him. He's not going to be the franchise I send it. That's what I read into it. So everybody keeps saying Mac Jones, Mac Jones, Mac Jones. I don't know why people keep saying Mac Jones. Mac Jones is their 5th quarterback on the board. Number 4 is Trey Lance. Number 3 is Justin Fields. Number 2 is Wilson. Number 1 is Lawrence for them. Here's why. If you go back to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, Jimmy G and the Niners, for whatever reason, 6 minutes left, they quit running. They stopped running the ball for whatever reason. They had Jimmy G throw the ball. He missed the 1 pass to Emmanuel Sanders, missed a couple more passes. This is why they're not getting Mac Jones. If Mac Jones is in there and he did the same thing and they pick him at number 3, it's going to be a bust. It's that simple. If you had a guy named Justin Fields or Trey Lance, a guy who's a little mobile, a guy who can move, They're in the back. They're in the pocket looking to pass. Nobody's open. They can't find anybody. They're all guarded. You have a quarterback who can scramble, who can run, who can get you 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 4 yards, whatever it is. But you know what the most important thing is? The clock keeps ticking. Kyle Shanahan has made the same mistake twice, in case you people can't remember. One was Matt Ryan, where they stopped running the ball 28-3 against the Patriots. Number 2 was Jimmy G, where they quit running the ball with 6 minutes left. So for all you talking heads who are saying Mac Jones, it's not Mac Jones. Stop saying Mac Jones. It's not Mac Jones, okay? I'm just telling you. It's either Trey Lance or Justin Fields. That's it. Those are the only 2 options, all right? So let's just be real and let's be honest with it, okay? And then for what they're saying, if they trade Jimmy G, okay, this is why they're going to pick Justin Fields. Trey Lance is a year away. We all know that. We all know he's developed. So if they're going to trade Jimmy G and they say he's not going to be on the roster on Sunday because they can't guarantee it, who are they going to pick? Come on. Break it down. Figure it out. Justin Fields, all right? So all you people talking heads out there, oh, it's Mac Jones. No, you're an idiot. Stop saying Mac Jones. It's not Mac Jones, all right? Kyle Shanahan wants a quarterback who can put all his offense in, who's mobile, who can run, who can extend the play. That's your dude. You got guys. You got Kittle. You got Ayuk, and you got Debo. All those guys can extend plays. All those guys are athletes. He's going to get another athlete at the quarterback position. San Francisco, that's what they're going to do, okay? Bookmark it, write it down, lock it up, boom, done. All right, and the number 1 team that has the most intrigue is the Atlanta Falcons. Number 4 pick, they can trade it. They can get Kyle Pitts. They can get a quarterback of their future, so it's going to be interesting too. So that's why that's the most intrigue. Atlanta can go many different ways. I know what I would do if I was Atlanta. I would trade the pick back. I would get as many number 1s as I can over the next 2 years. I would just load up my draft capital, my draft stock. That way, when it's time to load up the team as much as I can, when Matt Ryan's gone, when Julio Jones is gone, I'm prepared for the next evolution of the Falcon football. So, all right. Anyways, that is me for my first video today. I am Ty Guy, the sports guy, and you got all my thoughts and what I think about the top 5 most interesting teams in the NFL draft, the bust, the breakout stars this year, and the month of April for MLB baseball and the fantasy baseball too as well. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, complaints, whatever, throw them down. Let me know. I will respond to them. Anything you want to see, any topics you want me to discuss or talk about or break down or go on a rant on, whatever, I will do it. Please like, share, subscribe, add, tell everybody I'm here. I'm a huge sports nut. This is what I love to do. I love talking. I love giving out information. I love receiving information. So the more you know, the better. So that's what it's all about. So, all right, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday. So y'all take care. Have a great day and make the best of it. All right, take care. Bye.